Woo! Hey everybody, Jim Salmons here, and welcome to the Kayak Fishing Show live, brought to you by Ballast Point Brewing Company. And I want to say I haven't gone to the distillery in a while, or the brewery, and got more beer. So I'm having another Sculpin Grapefruit IPA, which is just fine because it is my favorite. Cheers to y'all. Thanks for joining us. Nothing like day drinking. Got a few people already checking in here with us. Serge, how you doing? Always joining us from up in Canada. Zach, don't stand in front of a man and a fish you ain't caught yet. Yes, the lyrics to our theme song by Zach. Zach, my mind's going blank. And Liam, thanks for joining us, man. Mike McKenna, always joining us. I do appreciate you guys who are here every week. I hope you're sharing it with your friends because, that's what allows us to keep doing these things. Today's show, again, is one of our early episodes. It was episode 5, season 1. So, 11 years ago. But this was actually shot while we were making our DVDs, Game On. This was in Game On 2. The cool thing was Game On 1 actually aired at the event we were at during this show, which was really, really, really cool. So we visited Texas, got invited by the guys at Heroes on the Water to come and see their event. And because we were going to Texas, my buddy Jeff Herman, Bird's Nest, invited us to go fishing with him. Or I called him and said, hey, we're coming to Texas. Let's go fishing. His response was not super positive. Not that he didn't want to fish with us, because we always have fun fishing with Jeff. It wasn't the best time of year. So, and that kind of plays out in this episode. But we had an amazing time, met some great people along the way. It was the first time I ever met Dean Thomas, Corey Ruth. I mean, there was a lot of great guys. Jim Dolan from Heroes on the Water, and our guest on our show today, Kendall Larson. It was the first time we ever met Kendall. Kendall, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today, man?
Good. We hit it off very well during that first meeting, because you ended up going on a few shoots with us as our still photographer, and I'll never forget our trip to Montana. What a gong show great time that was.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely glorious. So I think it all started when we were standing on the pier at night at the Heroes on the Water event there, and no fish were being caught. It was dark. Well, fish were being caught, but some people had some issues catching some fish, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, anyway. Our buddy Jeff, like I said, this all plays out in the episode. Initially, when we first we got there, we went fishing around the area, and it was cold, it was windy, and just overall had a rough time. And this was new. The cool thing is, looking back on these old shows, I mean, I've done this type of fishing quite a bit now, but back then, this was like one of the first times I'd ever fished skinny water. I mean, that's basically a picture of the type of water we were fishing in right behind me.
Yeah,
and I had never done it before.
Inches. Yeah, inches to a couple feet, a lot of that stuff, and it was nuts.
Yeah, and you're talking about a guy from Southern California who's,
right?
Fishing shallow is 75 feet.
Yeah.
It was definitely a learning experience, and like I said, I've done it a lot now, but always in during our travels. But like I said, met so many great guys. I mean, this was I knew Jeff because we both worked with Ocean Kayak. He was pro staff with Ocean Kayak, and part of the Jack's Ocean Kayak Texas team or something like that.
Right, exactly. Yep.
And we had met a few times up at Ocean Kayak working on some boat design, and we just hit it off so much that it was awesome. This was I think I fished with him up in Washington before this. And then after this, I think he was on my show.
He's been a bunch now.
A lot.
Half a dozen, maybe more.
Yeah, because he was always a great instigator of shoots. He would say, "Hey, I want to go fish here. If I can put the shoot together."
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, "Dude, if you're going to do all the legwork, heck yeah."
Let's go. Right.
So very disappointed Jeff could not be here with us. I know I'll get him on in the future, but he's very, very busy right now with his work, and so he couldn't squeeze this in today into his schedule. So kind of disappointed. So sorry, Kendall, but you were second choice.
You know something? I completely accept that, and I'm as sad as you are because Jeff is a super close friend. In fact, we even work together on stuff. He's still doing some writing and blah blah blah. So, yeah, we have grand times together. I have to say two things before we go on. Them, I have in my beer fridge over here Sculpin IPAs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I always keep them in. They're a glorious beer. But today, because it was Texas, I had to break out something kind of strange. It's a soul chelada. I actually despise canned cheladas, but not this one, baby. I accidentally discovered it on the way to Alaska on a motorcycle. I was driving up there for my 60th birthday. Bought it by accident and discovered it was something I absolutely loved. So, cheers, folks.
Cheers, man. There we go.
Ooh.
I don't know that I've ever had a chelada, a michelada, whatever. What exactly is one?
A michelada is a mix. It's kind of like a Bloody Mary using beer instead of vodka.
Okay.
So it's a real light Bloody Mary. If you've been working outside, it's got a real low ABV, like 3.5 or something like that. Oh. So it's something you can crush on a hot day when you're done or whatever. It's just a really, really nice beer. But that is the only one that tastes good. The Budweiser ones suck. You can go down the line. I just hate the rest of them.
I don't know that I've ever seen a pre-can. Don't you normally mix them yourself?
You can, absolutely. Okay. This one's just so good. I got hooked on them. It was sad. I was building an outdoor kitchen here in Texas last August. And if you can imagine building something outside in the middle of August, you know why you needed something hot at the end, or nice and cold and refreshing at the end of the day. It was brutal.
Yeah, totally get it. Mm-hmm. We got a few other people checking in. Pastor Felton Roll, hello from Salina Point Lodge, Acklands Island, Bahamas. We went and fished at his place a few months ago. It was actually right when this whole Corona thing was coming down. There was questions as to whether we were getting back, and if you had to be locked down someplace,
that's where to go, dude.
We fished for 6 days, never saw another person.
Fantastic.
Just walking the flats for bonefish. Unfortunately, we had a lot of wind, so it was a tough trip in that respect. But that's kind of how my trips go. But the location potential, it was, dude. The bonefish all around, and then not a long distance to go to get to deep water. So, Pastor Felton, thanks for joining us, man, and thank you again for hosting us on that trip. It was awesome. Zachariah, how is this special program? And I'm super proud to be a part of it. And we're going to be talking a lot about that as we come up, because most people don't realize is Kendall was one of the guys, along with Jim Dolan, who really got this thing going. When the first people, was it just the two of you that kind of got it going?
It was actually Jim, myself, and Brad Newman in the beginning. Jim and I were sitting around talking about, what a brutal thing it is that we had so many people coming back from the Middle East with such wicked injuries. And it kind of had the thought, maybe there's something we could do that'd be an outlet for them. We could take some people with us. and see what it was like. And it turned out that kayak fishing is a tremendously therapeutic for activity, not just for people that have physical injuries, but mental injuries as well. Those folks that came back with TBI, and you could put them on the water and they were suddenly equals. They were looking at you eye to eye instead of from a wheelchair. It was peaceful. It wasn't strenuous. You could do it in smaller places. It had good protection. And their faces they came alive. Guys would tell us afterwards, you guys have shown us something. Our life isn't over here. We can go out and still be active, and hugely rewarding. Huge.
Yeah. Like I said, this shoot was my very first experience with it, with the Heroes on the Water. And since then I've tried to help our local group out whenever I can. But that first time it was pretty amazing. I mean, and I think, like I said, I haven't watched this episode in years, but I think it's in there. But there was one kid, I mean, he was so locked down into his own head. I mean, there was no facial expression. There was nothing. He was just like, and by the end of the day, the guy was smiling and laughing. It was so amazing. I'd never seen anything like that.
No, me either. It was phenomenal. Yeah, he was essentially a walking zombie, just emotionless and just like other people. You get a little tug, like Dean Thomas likes to say, the tug is a drug, and next thing you know, you got a smile on your face. And that's what fishing's about for people.
Well, yeah. And then again, I think, what people see in this episode is, they started off with us all kind of being the mentors and there to help them out. So by the end of this, these guys were busting our balls.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, having a great time. And like I said, I'll tell a story about what happened with Jeff while we were fishing with all the guys later on. But we should get this episode going and kind of relive these memories. And like I said, we'll stop and answer questions and all that. So please, everybody who's watching, bring on some questions. Share this with your friends. If you guys, if you know people who are interested in the Heroes on the Water, please, by all means, share this with them, and they kind of have an idea of what it's all about. And this was in the really early days. I mean, the local chapters have really dialed things in.
It's awesome now. This was, this was really the first kind of bigger deal that we'd ever done. Our first outing for Heroes on the Water was done with one guy, one National Guard troop that'd seen some rough stuff. And we took him down to Aransas Pass and got him out fishing, same sort of thing. Phil Fishman Spencer was there for that one. And from that point on, it was obvious it was going to grow leaps and bounds through the years. And Jim did a grand job shepherding the organization.
Yeah, rest in peace, Jim Dolan. We lost him, when was it, last year? Late last year?
Yeah, late last year.
Yeah, unfortunately. But he was a super guy and very, very passionate about this. It was a shame because he had just kind of retired from kind of heading it all up, and he was ready to kind of enjoy some retirement years. And unfortunately, he passed away. But his legacy lives on through this organization.
No
so let's get this episode rolling. Otherwise, we could just talk the whole time.
That's a fact, man. We can visit.
Kayak Fishing Show this week, we're heading to a mecca of kayak fishing, East Texas, to meet up with my good friend, Bird's Nest, Jeff Herman. We're going to be looking for a few reds,
Kendall, do you hear it?
Flounder.
Absolutely, I'm good.
Huge bonus, okay. We get to lend a hand with a few of my heroes. Stay tuned. This one's awesome.
At the forefront of any sport, you inevitably find someone.
Kendall, stop playing with your mic.
While kayak fishing has been exploding in popularity, Jim Salmon
turning it up a little bit.
Just that.
Yeah, look at these. Nice.
From the seat of his ocean kayak, Jim challenges the world's top game fish and puts his kayak fishing skills to the ultimate test.
Never fought a kayak, have you, fish?
From freshwater to saltwater, Jim's mission.
This was in that same area, that shot.
Yep.
But I mentioned that
that anything is
now is, everything's done with drones now.
Sure.
That we actually shot from an airplane.
Yeah.
There were no drones back then.
I think that was Walker Mangum's plane. In fact.
It was Walker's plane.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Walker's another great kayak fisherman.
I'd still love to get out and visit him at his place.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, down in Onagata. Down the BVI.
The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Ocean Kayak, makers of the Trident series of fishing kayaks. Ex Officio, clothing for the adventurous spirit. Scotty, the way to fish. Standard Horizon, nothing takes to the water like Standard Horizon. Maui Jim, eliminate glare, turn up the color. And the Heliconia Press, cutting edge outdoors media. This week, Jim Salmons hits the Gulf Coast of Texas to fish with pro tournament kayak angler Jeff Bird's Nest Herman in the Galveston Bay area.
So I get an email from Jim that says, hey, I want to come fish Texas. I said, come on, boy, it's going to be good. What's he decide to do? Come in February. February, baby. The worst wind that we get all year, February to March.
Even in the off-season,
Yep.
year-round fishery will still put a good bend in your rod. And no one knows where to find the fish here better than Jeff Herman.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I haven't fished with Jeff in a few years. I miss it. He is a ball.
Jeff
Jeff
is super people.
Doing freshwater fishing on stock ponds up there.
And because he's such a thin rail of a man, it's easy peasy for him to be standing up on a yak like that, right?
Right.
We finished up at A&M. We just started hitting the coast. You know, there's so much more opportunity in saltwater than freshwater for big fish. So just got the kayak thing started, you know, I guess 7-8 years ago and haven't looked back.
Over the past 5 years, Jeff has spent every moment possible honing his skills on the saltwater flats. As a result, Jeff and his teammates have proven that kayaks can compete with any powerboat.
Actually, this is the God's honest truth. I met Jeff when I was at Texas A&M, and he was just getting into fishing and was really not very good at it. But he just loved it. And he, when he started fishing, I guess he didn't fish when he was growing up much. And he just was so enthusiastic about it and really, you know, put in the time to get good at it. And he's obviously turned into a really good fisherman.
So you need to get Jeff to tell you a story about how he started in the saltwater. It's a good one.
Spectacular resort about an hour outside of Houston on the westernmost tip of Galveston Island.
They built a nice property and have done real well about allowing access onto the beach in front of their property. Hasn't restricted any of the residents, so they got a nice facility and it's a prime location for fishing both Gulf and in the bay right at the back of the property.
You know, or the fishing, I mean, the weather's so great like it is, you know, like today, most times out of the year. And a lot of people here will just, you know, especially you have work to be done out here, your contract, you can't find your contract. You drive up and down the beach, you see all their cars parked out there, they got their fishing poles. It's just unbelievable fishing here.
Having settled in at Point West, the guys are ready to hit the water. But even though Big Black Drum lie in the deep water only 100 feet from the shoreline, a hard-blowing wind forces them to work the inner flats in search of smaller game fish.
I tell you, man, it's the story of my life.
Jim and Jeff Bird's Nest
Dude, it's
Herman
classic
get
February,
busy on
March
the flats.
weather there. So the wind just never goes away.
So there's our first commercial break. We'll bring us back up and check in with some other people that comment along the way. We had, well, there's actually quite a few here. Joseph joining us from our Kayak Fishing Tales, our YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us, man. Ken from joining us from Orlando, Tampa Bay.
Ooh, cheers, Ken. He's got it out.
Yeah. Raul, greetings from Brazil, man. Cheers. Greetings to Brazil. I've been there once. I'd love to go again. get back in there for the big peacock bass. Mike McKenna, great early morning beer. In every, what's he say? In every Texas ice house.
Yeah, indeed.
It's Harry Franco. Yes, it's therapeutic. Helps with MU combat military with PTSD. I think kayak fishing helps us all. I mean,
no doubt.
It always puts my mind straight, if I can get out on the water. And like I said, you have so much more experience with dealing with these people that have the traumatic brain injuries and just, like I said, just PTSD. It's like I said, in what I experienced in this and in the other events I've been at, it is such a great thing.
Yeah, fantastic. And Harry, it's really great to hear that you're doing well with it, that it helped your PTSD. I hope it continues that way for you, man.
Zach, the impact Cal makes has had me in tears to witness. Yeah, that's there's no doubt about it. Like I said, I can't tell you enough. If you have some issues, join up with Heroes on the Water, or if you think you can help, they're always looking for mentors out on the water. And we've said this before. You will get more out of this as a mentor, as a helper, than I can even explain. It's so rewarding to be a part of it. It's absolutely amazing. Richard Martin, thanks for supporting those who have sacrificed so much for us. What I did was, very, very little. Like I said, Kendall, you guys started this whole thing. Absolutely amazing. Harry says Heroes on the Water has helped him.
Righteous, Harry. Righteous.
Pamela Worth, good afternoon. Thanks for turning it up for us old people. And Fishing with Essex is in Sarasota, Florida. We have another Raul Kim. Hi from Brazil. You guys should try really? I should try a Dorado. Yeah, please.
Right.
Golden Dorado. Yeah. I mean, that is totally on my to-do list. And one more from Rob saying hello from Bettendorf, Iowa. So guys, keep those questions coming, and we'll get back to the episode. In a second.
Yeah, right. Yeah, things spool up though.
Welcome back to the Kayak Fishing Show with Jim Sammons. This week, Jim is in the Galveston Bay Area of Texas fishing the flats with Ocean Kayak pro angler Jeff Herman. Although the guys were hoping to target big black drum off the shore, gale force winds are forcing them into the shelter of the flats, where Jim's new mission is getting a Texas slant.
We're in Galveston, Texas, and we are at the west end of the island.
Look at that young kid.
Texans know the area,
right?
San Luis.
Man.
It's kind of a popular, legendary fishing spot on the Texas coast for everything. In the summertime, sharks, big reds, jackfish. Right now, we're in the winter. You get the trout, flounder, a little bit of flounder. I shouldn't say a lot of flounder, but trout, flounder, some reds. But the big guns, the sharks and the jacks and stuff, it's too cold right now. It's a nice area though. Recently hit by the hurricane, but they've done a lot of work down here, so it's definitely fishable and a good place to come hit the water.
Remember back then,
Yeah,
Jeff was a 2-pack a day guy.
Last one.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
And that's crazy to think about. I'd forgotten that.
A little bit bigger than the last one, but here we go.
There you go.
Lunker.
Another little redfish.
Man, those little guys put up a fight though. They're fun. Little rat reds.
Yeah, on the right tackle.
This is,
Oh God, yeah.
the baby
Yeah, a little
flop.
medium action rod.
Little flop. This is juvenile. This is kind of their spawning time when they're out in the Gulf. The big ones are out in the Gulf. So most of the flounder we catch this time of year are just like this. Real pretty.
That one looks a little better.
Kind of like our starry flounder at home. Starry flounder don't have teeth like this yet.
I had a lot of fun. I just had a lot of mistakes. I don't know what the deal was. I had fish throw the hook. I had 2 times where I was on fish where my line broke. Which just never happened. I'm going to be changing out leaders tonight.
Brutal.
But I mean, we're fishing light tackle, 6-pound test. When we do hook into one of these redfish. They're pretty sporty, man. They were smoking
Oh,
lines.
that's a decent little fish. Now you got everything.
I literally caught a boot.
Although
That's
kayak fishing
awesome.
is generally very safe, whenever you're out on the water, you need to prepare for the unexpected. Part of that means always having some way of communicating with others or calling for help.
And
that's what Jim is looking at this week in the
the sponsor bumps.
Tip of the week.
Yeah, right?
You really have three options when it comes to
So it makes the
choosing
world go
between
round, eh?
device. You can use a cell phone, a VHF radio, or you can use a cell phone.
A story
Cell
with
phones are obviously convenient because
with
most
Jeff
people
on
have
this
them,
one.
but they're not designed to get
I don't
away.
like
You never
spinning
know when
gear.
you might be out of
I'm
service.
100% bait
So carry
casters,
one just in case,
and he's
but there's
like,
other
"Oh, you
options
can't
also
use that
available.
because it's so windy and we're throwing
If
this
you're
light
traveling
stuff."
any real distance,
And I'm like,
you really
"Really?
need to consider a more
Want to have a
reliable
little
communication
contest?"
device.
And I
That's where
outcast him
VHF
into the
radios come
wind
in.
with a bait
VHF
caster,
radios are
No
particularly
kidding.
and he was
useful
using a
on the
spinner.
coast and on very
So from
large
that point
lakes
on, he just shut
because
up.
you can reach other boats in the area or the Coast Guard.
Oh,
It's
my.
also a great way to share fishing information with your friends on the water. I personally never leave the beach without my VHF radio.
That's a lake right by my
I have
house.
a Horizon HX750.
That doesn't suck.
that mountain right there,
Beautiful
I
thing
live
about
right
this
in
is
front
it's
of it.
waterproof, and better yet, it floats.
Having been there when I rode the bike out there some
Standard
years
arrived
ago,
well
I know
with a
exactly
handheld
where
VHF
we're at.
radio with the GPS built into it.
That's right.
Which not
Forgot
only will
about
help
that.
you find your way
Yeah.
home in the fog, but it can help others locate you in an emergency.
Hopefully,
So
I
here's
can
a brief
repay the
rundown of some of
favor
your
at some point
communication
down the
options.
road here.
Yeah.
Remember, bringing one
We got
out with you
decent
every
digs. We got a
trip
pool and a hot
does more
tub.
than
You
give you a
know,
safety net. It
end
makes
of day
keeping you back at
relaxation
home
ain't so
feel a
bad.
lot better.
Are you still outside
Until
Houston?
next time, I'm
Yep.
Jim Salmons,
Southwest
and that's
side.
your ex officio kayak fishing tip of the week.
That's funny
For
seeing
more
this
tips
go
and
on.
your
I
chance to
forgot
win
that it was
fantastic
right after
kayak
Hurricane
fishing
Ike. We were actually
that
putting
includes
Heroes on the
Ocean
Water
Kayak
together
Triton Fishing Kayak
at
and
the
Standard
same
Horizon
time as I
VHF
was trying to
radios.
recover from
Visit
being flooded out by the damn
kayakfishingshow.com.
hurricane.
Oh, geez.
The winds
It was
pulled the
brutal.
intensity, forcing the boys deeper into the
Brutal.
flats, where they continue their search for trout, the final piece of their Texas Slam puzzle. A short drive from Point West Resort, they find a uniquely urban place to slide their kayaks into the water, and the hunt continues.
We're on the feeder, and this is like the last entry ramp to 45 right here. So really no cars come down here unless they're fishing or they're lost and going to turn around somewhere. One of the things today is we're gonna be fishing deep and around a ton of shell. So just you gotta be careful for getting hung up. And these trout, I don't know where in the water column they're gonna hit. They could hit low, middle, high. We'll have to find out. But I would start low and then start working it up.
Is this are we targeting redfish or are we thinking we're going to get trout here?
We're specifically here targeting trout. So it's not like yesterday we had a little bit of sight casting, when they're up shallow in the oysters. Today it's all going to be blind casting. And that bite, those trout will sometimes hit it hard like redfish, but sometimes they're just kind of lippy. So when you feel it, you got to really cross their eyes with the hooks.
Not too bad. Nice way to start the day.
Yeah.
I could not stand up in that boat.
No. Yeah, that's meant for guys like Jeff. It's cool seeing that Texas Paddling Trail sign. It hadn't been that long before that those started showing up
While I was
in
fishing
Texas.
today,
Right.
I spent a lot of time watching them.
Wow, my hair is a lot grayer now.
Yeah, my beard is too.
These guys fish here all the time.
I've got the
This
COVID
is their
beard
water.
going. Usually it's trimmed
So,
up, not full.
Anytime you can be by another angler who fishes that water all the time, or a guy who fishes all the time, if you just watch them and talk to them, you're going to learn different things. Anytime you can fish with other anglers, especially anglers of the quality and stature that we have been fishing with, you're going to learn stuff. And that's always going to make you a better angler.
Son.
There you go. Got a nice little speck.
So that's my true slam, my Texas slam in the kayak. So
Nice. A lot of people fish a long time before they get one of those, by the way.
Is that right?
Yep.
We actually caught some flounder on this trip that we took back and ate. I mean, they were delicious.
You'll soon
Oh,
discover
heck yeah.
that there are lots of different models and styles to choose from, but the decision doesn't need to be difficult if you know what questions to ask. And that's exactly what world champion kayaker Ken Whiting is going to explain in this week's Ocean Kayak kayaking tip.
If you're trying to decide on a kayak,
The biggest tip is don't tip.
How and where will you be using the kayak? Because the answers to those questions.
Speaking of that,
the bigger question, which is,
so there's a certain irony or coincidence here. Jim Dillon, when he first started kayaking, I actually met him out on the water, and told him, man, maybe we can help you out. And turns out that not that first day, but I think it was the second time he was out, he ended up dipping out of his canoe or kayak not once but twice, which is how he got his nickname Double Dip on Texas Kayak Fishing.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Well, we all know how Jeff Bird's Nest got his name, so
which explains the hatred for bait casters, right?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Fishing, because they let you fish from a variety of positions, and they have a ton of great storage. Most importantly, though, a sit-on-top kayak is not going to swamp if you flip. You can just flip the boat upright, hop on, and you're good to go. Sit-insides like this Old Town Vapor 12XT also have their place. Their main advantage is they keep you a lot drier.
I tell you, these
in fact,
I mean, that's
paddle sit on top is to be wet.
The first boat he was showing was a Trident. That boat right there is a Trident.
Yep.
Of course,
the kayaks have done nothing but get bigger and bigger and bigger since then.
Crazy, right?
So if you're going to be paddling,
you're talking boats that are
100-pounders.
Oh yeah,
you need to consider the kayaks
over 100 pounds. Some of them.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
The longer and narrower a boat is, the faster.
Yeah, here's a little irony for you. We purchased an RV. It's a toy hauler, so I can put the bike in back. My wife doesn't like to ride to get to nice places to ride, so we'll haul the motorcycle. But I also picked up a couple of kayaks and a canoe that fold down into a package, that are like a suitcase.
Are those origami ones?
Kind of, but it's not that brand. But yeah,
okay.
Tuck Tech is one of them. Those are the kayaks, and then the and they were inexpensive. They were both Kickstarter projects. The other one is a pop canoe or something like that. Yeah, I'll be sure down the road to show you.
That is interesting.
Yeah, going the opposite direction. I still have my kayaks, still get out, but yeah,
having something that's light.
Mm-hmm.
I said I was telling the story last week when Ken was on that, back in the day of the Scupper Pro, which weighed 49 pounds,
right?
Everybody was like, "This is awesome! If only it was lighter."
It's hard to go wrong with anything.
And the boats have done nothing.
Much lighter, right?
Yeah, they've done nothing but get heavier.
You're going to want to test a few out for stability.
It's crazy
because some will definitely feel more stable than others. One last thing you're going to have to decide is: do you want to kayak with a rudder? Contrary to popular,
no, we don't want to kayak with a rudder, Ken.
To turn a kayak, although they help. Their main purpose is to keep your kayak running straight when you're dealing with wind.
Actually, it's very common down here, folks, to fish with rudders, because you can kind of control the direction of the boat when you're drifting. So if you're out on the flat fishing, it's real common for folks to have them here.
And that's your ocean kayaking tip of the week.
And Ken looks awfully young,
the
too.
most comprehensive guide to kayak fishing.
Yeah.
Possible, dude.
Man. At your local outdoor store or at kayakfishingshow.com. Stay tuned as Jeff and Jim head to the Mansky Ranch deep in the heart of Texas to connect with a few heroes that could use a helping hand. The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Ocean Kayak, Ex Officio, Scotty, Maui Jim, Standard Horizon, and the Heliconia Press.
I got to fish the Mansky Ranch one more time after this. Very, very cool location.
You have better weather then?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I never have good weather.
Welcome back to the Kayak Fishing Show. This week, Jim is in Texas visiting Jeff Herman on the saltwater flats of Galveston Bay, where the fishing has been spectacular considering the tough windy conditions and the time of year. But it's time for Jim and Jeff to pack their gear and leave Point Rest Resort to head up north for a very special event. Heroes on the Water is a volunteer-driven program that assists injured service members with their physical and mental recovery by introducing them to the therapeutic qualities of fishing from kayaks. The program has proven to offer invaluable relief from the stresses of combat and rehabilitation and is rapidly expanding throughout America. But this is an extra special event because it's drawn virtually all the big names in kayak fishing together in one spot.
CASA became involved with Heroes on the Water largely
There you
through
are, sir.
a relationship that we had
Indeed.
with an active duty major at Brooke Army Medical Center. Major Roberson had been chatting with us, and it turns out that the guys who founded CASA were all ex-military. So we have immediately a very deep place in our heart for our brothers in arms.
They're just young guys, kids, pretty much, you know, and they all have great attitudes when they get out. You know, it's like taking some 21-year-old guys out fishing. It's no different. I mean, these guys come out and their attitudes are great, and they enjoy themselves. And, you know, you could just tell I guess, you know, when you're going through therapy, something like this is just a way to, you know, blow off steam, relax without, you know, without having to think about a lot of other things. It's a way to clear the mind.
Danny did some great work for us early on.
Yeah, he was a nice guy.
You bet.
This guy here that's talking right now, he was such a wise guy. He was so funny.
So that was a wonderful thing. And what these guys are doing for us out here is just amazing. And I mean, we're getting lots of good smiles out of some very nice young men.
I was helping that kid.
Yeah.
And like I said, I remember him and the one back behind him were both so locked down on themselves. And by the end of the day, to see them smiling was amazing.
Yeah, exactly that.
How it truly benefits our soul to be out on the water. I mean, it's a really great experience to kayak fish. Everybody has experienced the stresses of day-to-day working in their business and what that does.
You can see that wind.
And getting out
Oh
on the
my!
water is all of that, because you can escape it. And the folks that are going through Brooke Army Medical Center was our first experience. Have those issues and more. So all of a sudden they found a new life skill that they can take with them, that they can be as active as anybody else out there in the environment, enjoying it just like the average Joe. So it's really powerful stuff.
Right now, you know, they're going through a turning point in their lives, and where, you know, they either have to make decisions to still be a soldier, or whether
Corey Ruth
not be a soldier.
There he is.
So in this point in their life,
Great to see him and his dad there.
To keep them moving in that right direction.
I think one of the neatest things about our program, we can talk about this more, is what this does for the guys with not only with physical injuries, but the mental injuries. I think kayak fishing for the guys with PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, TBI, which is traumatic brain injury, what this does for those guys is awesome. And the other part of that, because of the camaraderie that we have as kayak fishermen tend to, I call it band of brothers, band of kayak fishermen. We tend to be pretty well adjusted to each other and have a great time with each other. And we get to simulate these guys, give them an outlet to get together and see us and join us. And I think after last night, some of them have really fit into that concept big time.
Yeah, as far as the rehabilitation specialist at Walter Reed.
I'm gonna pause it right there because I don't really need to listen to Corey. But just to share a memory of this, which was to me was the best thing. You know, the whole, it was a full day, fed the guys. We were staying at the Mansky Ranch, and in the evening there was a lighted dock, right?
Yep.
So we brought all the guys out there because the fishing was kind of tough. You could see it was quite windy, and the wind had blown a lot of the water out. So we weren't even actually able to get most of the guys on kayaks. We were fishing off a bridge. So we took them down to that lighted dock, and there were specks just popping. I mean, you could hear them doing their thing, you know. And so got all the guys set up with lures, and every one of these warriors was catching fish. And it was so much fun, and we were laughing our butts off, joking around. And Jeff Herman is sitting there, and he's casting alongside all the guys. And I mean, all these guys are catching fish. And Jeff, for the life of him, cannot catch a fish, right? I mean, he's struggling. And so not only am I giving him a hard time, everyone of the heroes were giving him such a ration.
It's brutal. Man, we've all been on the schneid. It's harsh when it happens. The poor old Jeff had it happen at the worst time.
It was so we're busting his balls. And of course, he's like, yeah, you think you'd do better? Hands me the rod. He goes, then you go catch a fish. Boom, made a cast. Boom, boom. Hook one, bring it in, toss it up on the bank, and I just drop the rod. Boom, I'm done. I'm out. And
that's great.
He had a few words to say to me at that point.
Always, right? Yeah.
It was just absolutely hilarious. Well, since we're paused, may as well say hello to a couple more people who are checking in. Zach says Central California always needs help. Come on up. Oh, I'll try to do that. I would be. It's always hard, but
trip. Yeah.
Raphael, hello from Gothenburg.
Gothenburg.
How are you,
Yeah, wie geht's?
That's the cool thing I love about doing this. We have people who view these things from all over. This is kind of a cool one. And Harry, thanks to Heroes on the Water, I was reunited with a Desert Storm veteran brother I haven't seen since our time in Germany. That's super cool.
Too cool. Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Chris Summers, Kendall, we were all young once.
That's a good call, Chris.
Yeah.
Hard to remember that sometimes, though, isn't it?
Mentally, I still feel young. It's my back doesn't always feel so young. Mike McKenna, I still use the Trident 13. I won from the show contest from that season. That's awesome. And he says it came with a rudder. We'll never go without a rudder on my 15.5 Kraken. I don't find the Kraken. Let's put it this way. I have two 15.5s. One I have a rudder on, one I don't. I prefer not having the rudder, but in all honesty, in a following sea, that boat really likes a rudder. It really likes a rudder. And some boats like the Scupper Pro, I never ever felt the need to have a rudder ever.
Yeah.
The original Prowlers never had a rudder, but as we got into the Kraken, the Tridents, some of those did. And like I said, the Kraken for sure, the 15.5 in that following sea. And that's kind of the only time, but in that following sea, it really liked a rudder.
Those longer boats I think it's pretty common, in fact, and you end up with all that wind cocking going on in following seas. And that is a brutal way to go and spend a day. Ask Aaron Reed about that sometime.
Richard Martin, I remember my first surf landing. It was in a Scupper Classic. Wow, that was a low volume boat with a 60-pound white sea bass. The white sea bass weighed more than the rigged boat. Yeah, it sure did. That's awesome. I would. I'll take a 60-pound white sea bass any day. That's 60 pounds of delicious. Harry Franco, being comfortable around others can be challenging. The house staff made it easy to talk and be around. And, I said that's kind of what you see is everybody's just there to share the joy and the love of the sport. And it was just, like I said, every time I've done one of these, it's been absolutely amazing. And,
we emphasized that a lot when we first started this, is that we wanted to ensure that the mood and the general way that we approached it was going to be, this is light and for fun. They've got enough stresses and serious things to deal with. This is supposed to be something chill. And I'm glad to hear that that's carried on through the years.
Yeah. From like I said, the events that I've been at here in San Diego, it's still the same thing. It's always good food. Go out there and catch some fish. Luckily, a lot of times in San Diego, they'll do the events on San Diego Bay, which is a very, very friendly fishery.
That's cool.
Yeah, I go there. As I tell people, if I go to La Jolla, I'm going out to La Jolla to go fishing.
Right.
If I want to go catching, I go to San Diego Bay. And
that's cool.
Yeah, you're not catching anything big, but you get a ton of spotted bay bass. And
Right.
And for these guys, it's just
Perfect.
a kick.
Perfect. Nice.
So let's hear what Corey has to say. Put him back up there.
And at the hospital we deal with in Richmond, they said this is probably one of the few events when these guys get back to the hospital, they're bragging about it to the other soldiers. You got to do this. You got to try this kayak fishing, man. This stuff is awesome, and they really like the results of that. That's the type, it's part of the process of getting these guys back into where they need to be, back in the the population where they're not thinking about what happened across the ocean and get back to life.
Too cool.
I'm so stoked about getting in that kayak right now. I don't even care if it's windy. Let's go.
And we're very patriotic, and we do deeply appreciate what these boys and girls are doing for us over there. And I'm just completely honored for them to ask me to be a part of it and be able to.
That's a nice flounder right there.
That's a real nice flounder.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that you should know. They didn't even have to ask me to do it. It's just, I believe so much in what those guys do for us that it's just a great way to pay them back.
We have a lot of bright.
I'm going to pause here real quick one more time, just because. Do you get to hang out with Dean very often?
No, past couple of years, not so much. I started diving and teaching scuba, and so our paths kind of parted a bit. But we do still get together.
My gosh, that guy is honestly, your sides are aching after a day on the water with that dude. He is so hilarious.
So he and I have literally paddled about half the coast of Texas together, right? We did a story for Texas Sporting Journal with Aaron Reed, and we were paddling up. The days there was some, you get into it monotonous. You just got to paddle and cover miles. But my God, we'd be talking, and like you say, you just have tears rolling down your face. He was the same way, though. It wasn't just, he's got such a crazy personality, and he's so filled with a love for life, right?
And he's got every ridiculous ism,
For sure. He grew up in the Houston area, so he's pulled a lot of these little pieces together from all over Texas, then spent all kinds of time out in the oil patch in the field. But he's picked up so many stories from all these people, and like you say, all of his isms come together to create this. It's an unreplicable package right there. They broke the mold for sure.
Yeah. So anybody, if you do get to the Aransas Pass area, Dean Thomas is a guide there.
Absolutely.
An incredible guide, and just fun as heck to fish with. So if you do get to that area and you have a chance to go fishing with Dean, we actually did finally get to shoot an episode with him a couple years back. Yeah. And that was the next time that I actually went to the Mansky Ranch, and it was we had one day, and it was a day like no other, sight fishing for reds there. So again, if anybody has a chance to get there, I highly recommend going.
Yeah, slow ride guide is who you're going to look for online. Dean Thomas.
Yeah. So
what a guy.
Keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Young men out here that are they just had some tough times over there. They went through some things over there that I hope not too many more people will ever have to go through. But it's
man, that touches my heart. That kid was so happy.
They'll make it through their times, but they're all doing good though, and they're gonna get through it though. That's the thing.
For Jim and the other volunteers, the event really brought to light what the brave men and women in service are putting on the line for the rest of us, and how incredibly lucky we are to be able to freely spend days on the water fishing. To learn more about Heroes on the Water and how you can help, please visit heroesonthewater.org.
In Texas, like most of the places we fish, we practice mostly catch and release, and we wanted to have a tool that would help us land those fish that would make it easy on us, but also easy on the fish. That's why we chose Boga Grips. Boga Grips, the original lip gripping fish landing tool, and are available in 15, 30, and 60 pounds. So we could use them on the small trout, or we could use them on the big rooster fish. A couple of the nice features about the Boga Grip are the built-in scale, so you can weigh your catch, but also the pivoting head. So if you have a fish that tends to spin like a muskie, the head will twist and not damage the fish's jaw.
Join us next week on the Kayak Fishing Show as Jim Sammons heads to the icy cold waters of Chesapeake Bay.
Oh my God, that
Reels
trip.
For striped bass, Kayak Kevin Whitley.
I actually spoke to.
I'm Jeff Herman with Ocean Kayak Pro Staff. This is here in mud fishing in Texas. There's the shallow water we look for down here in Texas.
Awesome.
Let me have another temper. is that night fishing?
Oh, lost it right on shore. That's tough.
That was just a laugh riot right there.
For hours.
We that whole night. I mean, we could have stayed out there all night just laughing and joking with the guys and abusing Jeff. So much fun. But I was saying, I actually talked to Kayak Kevin Whitley
right.
This afternoon, and he will be my guest next Thursday as we air that episode. So that was that upcoming. It was brutal. I mean, like I said, we had high winds at this one. I've never been so cold in my life. Chesapeake Bay in December, fishing at night. I mean, I froze my booty off, but it'll make a good episode. And Kayak Kevin is such a good guy, and so very important. Mike McKenna says, love Aaron Reed's new book about fishing Austin and the Hill
good
Country.
call. Yeah. So he's all about small stream fishing with ultralight fly equipment, and it's
started doing more fly fishing. So
Cool.
That's kind of working with Siegler reels and his new fly reels, and so I started doing a little bit more fly fishing, and I'm trying to get a little bit better at it. Of course, every time I try to go fly fishing,
it's windy.
Whatever. And I have no love for the wind. David Mescal, thanks for joining us as always, man. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody else who joined us and asked questions and all that. Kendall, thank you so much for joining me here, man. It was great catching up with you.
Yeah,
we haven't talked in quite a long time, and it's been really, really fun. And we'll maybe get you on here again. And, like I said, we have the Montana episode will be coming up, and
Mazatlan and Mexico.
Oh my
Too
gosh.
fast. Remember?
I forgot you were on that one.
What a trip! That was. Oh my God. Yeah. There are some good stories in that one too.
There's so many good stories and memories from all these things. And like I said, I don't go back and watch them beforehand. So I'm reliving them as we're all reliving them and just having a good time. And I hope everybody who's watching is having a good time. So Kendall, if you got anything you want to promote?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Actually, I take that back. If there's a HOW chapter around you and you're looking for a great day to support folks that are well worth your time, like really well worth your time, get out there and do it. You'll find yourself rewarded as much as you can. Yeah.
Like I said, you will get as much out of it as the soldiers do, if not more, because it is very rewarding.
Profoundly good stuff. Yep. Fantastic to see you, brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.
Look forward to it.
Well, again, thank you everybody for joining us here. Again, please, if you can, share it with your friends. If you have people who are interested in Heroes on the Water, share it with them so they'll kind of have an idea what it's about. I know the whole episode wasn't about Heroes on the Water, but it was a little taste of it. Like I said, we certainly had a great time with it there and became kind of passionate about kind of helping them out when we can. So anyway, if you are getting out on the water, I'm actually going to get out on the water tomorrow. My wife and I are going to take our boat out and finally get out on the water. So, but if you are getting out on the water in your kayak, please make sure that you're wearing your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. You take care.